Another episode of Lifted Voices with Fifi. I am so happy we're doing this today, and I'm happy that we are back. I just want to share this. It's okay. I'm so happy that we are back, and happy new week, everybody. Today, I know I always say this episode is so special to me. But anyway, welcome to Lifted Voices with Fifi. Today it's a very, very, very special day to me. Well, it's one of those days which I thought in my entire life I planned for it, and it was going to be a day that is so emotional and the day that will break my world. But actually, I feel like it's the day that truly give me strength because today is the day I celebrate my grandmother. So my grandmother passed away in 2020 during just before COVID. Today is now 5 years ago. Five, right? 2026. Anyway, what's to do with the numbers? Yeah, so today just marks the death anniversary of the passing of my grandmother, and this is the woman who raised me. So, my grandmother raised me from the age of 5. So I lost my father at 3 and my mother at 5. So my grandmother is the woman who raised me, shaped me. If I yap a lot, if I'm a good person, if I'm a bad person, however you think I am. This is the product of my grandmother. But I believe that the person I am today, the strength that I have today as a person, it's rooted in the faith that my grandmother has given me. Yeah, she just rooted my life in faith, in service, and in so much strength. And this episode is especially for her and all the strong women and all the good people that really shaped me from the person who I am. So I'm very proud of the product that I am today because of those people. And and I just want to dedicate this to everybody who has been raised by love and to all those who have raised without that love, because it's so important to be raised in an environment where you feel growth, where you are comforted, where you're raised in faith rather than, the ease. And I feel like the way my grandmother brought me up, and I believe so with my siblings and my cousins and my aunties and uncles, is the way that God wanted us to be brought up in, because every single person that my grandparents really has brought as some sort of, well, we're strong characters. That's one thing. But I feel like they build us up to be the reflection of Christ in the community, because that's what who they who that is whom they stand for. They stand for everything that Christ stood for. And I feel like just having to talk about her today, about her legacy, that is just my gratitude towards her and towards God for the person whom she was really in my life. So I've said this before. I grew up in a small village in Zimbabwe, in a place which is really, 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 really hot, called Sanyati. And growing up there, I feel like my grandmother raised me up not just as a child, but as a human being with responsibilities, dignity, and purpose. And they made sure that we are all built up to become something in the community, to become something in our future when we are adults. And it was very, I wouldn't say it was a harsh condition, the way we were brought up, but I felt like they were trying to build strong human beings, strong people of faith. And this is what I love the most when I look at people like my aunties, my cousins, and the amount of things they've gone through in life, and they're still standing, and the strength that they have. You know what? I am gonna buy a new camera. I can't stand this whole going back and forth thing. But anyway, back to back to what we're talking about. So I feel like my grandmother was such a strong woman who lived by example. How she lived is exactly how we all are duplicating. Like we always laugh with my family, like how we all love cooking. My grandmother grew up talking about cooking, how she went to school, because back in a time, she grew up in a time where women were not allowed to be in school and they were not put through school, but she went to school after she got married. My grandfather put her back to school and she talked about her days in Empandeni where she studied all the things like sewing, cooking. She was an amazing cooker, and I hope I am too. But most of my family members are really, really good at cooking too. And she was also a very supportive wife. So we've learned the role of a woman through her way of life, how she deals with problems, how she deals with family, how she deals with chaos, because my family is huge and we are all chaotic individuals. So I seriously applaud their strength because I don't know how she managed all of her kids. She had too many of them. And these are the people who adopt people who had their own big clan of children and then have so many grandchildren. Like we always joke about how our holidays were and how they manage all of us the way we were. But I feel like, I don't know, I'll never be half of what she was, but I feel like I'm going to strive, I'm going to work hard to be a useful member of the community, just like she was in her contribution to the people and her contribution to the body of Christ as well. And I just love, how she kneels and pray and stand up for others. And that's the strength that I also want in my life. And also another thing, when my grandma told me, and I've said this before, that she offered me to baby Jesus when I was young, and not as a ritual, but as a declaration that this child belongs to God. She does not belong to the world. And I just feel like because of that, I've seen the hand of God throughout my life, and I feel like I like my faith, it's something that I feel like it was poured into me as a child, and I'm grateful and beyond for that. And my grandmother was not someone who had like big power or some sort of formal, I don't know, some formal power or what's not. And but she had moral authority, and that is something that is strong that we don't have in today's world, where a lot of people wants to have that power, wants to be on the side of the power, but we forget that when you live within your morals, when you live with the way that God has called you to be, and you live and stay faithful to that role, it just shapes everything that you are. And I feel like just growing up watching the human being she was, that shaped everything that I am today. So, where I grew up, I don't know. I feel like no one succeeded alone. I see my aunties, my uncles, everyone. I don't see like having money as a success, but I feel like there is something that you see when you're built to be a resilient person. You see these people growing up in their faith, these people growing up in their respective places of work, wherever they are. Like I have my aunties, they all have their own business, they're successful in what they do. We have doctors in the house, they're successful in what they're doing. And we have my sisters, strong human beings who are very good at what they do. I don't know how they do it. And my cousins, like everyone around me, I feel like we have built this resilient that you can work hard, whatever you want in life you can work hard for it. Why? Because we worked. I always laugh when I'm like in Rwanda and I tell my stories about how I grew up on the farm and I used to go to the field and work and things, and people laugh. They're like, you can't do anything, honey, I grew up on a farm. It's different to when you have a home and a little field where you can go, those small, small one we have, them small shamba. No, no, no. When you're on a farm, it's massive. And I grew up working on a farm on my weekends. Well, we only worked one day. Our grandfather only allowed us to work on Saturday. Sunday, we never worked because it's the day of the Lord. Monday to Friday, we never worked. Okay, in that aspect, maybe. And on school holidays, we worked on the farm. We looked after, we were the shepherds to the goats. So our job was to look after the goats, and we had goats, chicken, we had everything. We had orchards where we had a lot of fruits growing up, and we learn to do the works of hands before we learn to do anything else outside the world. So we learn to do the hard work before anything else. So now when you're doing other things, nothing seems hard because there's nothing harder than what we did as children. This is from my aunties, ourselves, and even our little ones as well. So I just feel like we were brought up to be hardworking people. And another thing that I learned from my grandmother is that no one succeed alone. They made sure that the community strive. If we have the little we have, we share, we give, and we hated it growing up. Like I said, I wish to be half the woman my grandmother was because I don't know if I am that. And I remember one of the stories is we've gone to the farm on a weekend. We used to go early morning, like 4:35 a.m. before it gets hot because where we come from is very, very hot. And we would go to the farm and then we'll come back around 11, 12 because it's too hot to even do anything in the farm. We come back and we're all hungry. And after coming back from the farm, grandma used to make good food. And we come back, we're ready to eat. And there was one thing that all of us always hated. The minute the food is ready to be eaten, we always had to have visitors. Like somebody will just knock on our door at that time. And there'll be multiple people, and my grandmother would start taking our food to give to other people. She would not think twice that we're also hungry and things like that. So that's why I'm so greedy. Like when I eat fast and I make sure I get rid of my meat. And I'm sure that is everyone else in my family does the same thing. Anyway, like I said, I am going to buy a new camera because I actually don't know how to fix this. And I always come late. So I came like a few minutes ago back from work and I straight on just started the video. And I know I was supposed to fix it before doing the video this week, but I didn't do that. So anyway, I'll do that next time. So no one should succeed alone. And my grandmother taught me that giving back was not optional. If someone is hungry, we share it. If a child needs guidance, we step in. If someone is grieving, we show up. And and she used to do this quite faithfully. And this is something that I feel like that's why everyone in my family is like, we're all like so giving people, like we all give, we all support one another to someone. And we love big people, having more people, we love sharing, we love communities because that's how we were taught. We were taught you do everything and you give in to everybody. You step in when you're supposed to. And if someone is grieving, do not allow them to go through that alone. And you show up for people. That's how we were taught. And she never used to use the cool words we use today, like now in my diplomacy era, where we use community development or social impact. She actually lived them. That's the difference. And I know in today's world we're evolving, so we have to, especially in the environment that I work in, I have to use these words. And that's how life works. But for her, community development, social impact, these are the things that defined her without even having to say this is what she's doing. Because and that was her way of life. And this is where I learned that leadership is actually not about visibility, and it is about the responsibility. Because I've been in ministry for so long here in the UK, and of course in Africa. I've done ministry for that long. The last few years, the last big chunk of almost a decade where I was in full-time ministry. And in that time, I felt like for you to be able to have ministry, for you to be able to feel like you're achieving something, you're giving back to community, you should give back and not give back, but you should be visible. And I feel like this is sort of like a distraction from what you're supposed to do. It distracts you from how you give back, how you become part of the um how you have that responsibility towards the community, because now your focus is on what you can achieve, how to do it, how to perform. Because I feel like ministry or outside ministry, in the environment that I've been in the last 10 years, it comes to a point where it becomes performative. Ministry, giving back, good works, it all becomes performative. Why? Because you want to be visible, you want to be known for your good works. And the simplest way to put it is like I used to sing in ministry. So, and then you, in all of that, you all now, oh, I want to be the one who's leading. I want to be the one who's leading. This is my ministry, I'm leading. This is my that I'm leading. This is everything I'm leading. And I feel like that was a distraction to what defined me and how I was taught what is leadership, because leadership is actually not visible. And I saw this through my grandmother and my grandfather. It's the responsibility that comes with it of knowing what you're supposed to do, whether everybody's watching, whether you get the applause for it. And I remember in one of my works that I've been doing, and someone once asked me, Phyllis, you've done so much for ABCD, and how come no one recognized what you're doing and everything? And at one point, I was hurt because I was like, that is so true. People don't acknowledge what I'm bringing to the plate, and I am bringing a lot. And I feel like the devil uses that to bring that to your conscience, that you should be acknowledged for what you're doing, you should be known for what you're doing. But then imagine these people lived in a village where no one was asking them to do anything. They just do it for the sake of, this is my responsibility. If I don't do it, who will? And over the time, as I grow in my faith as well, I started learning that I don't have to be visible to accomplish what I do. But I feel like that came with certain growth to who I am, to my ministry, to my involvement in my social impact. It sort of brought a different growth to that, only because like I now operate differently to what I used to. I just love and thank God for the season that I'm in right now, because there's so much learning that I've been going through. And because I've been going through a season of a lot of reflection, in my reflection, I learned that the way I functioned in the past, even though I've been in faith for so many years, the way I function is different. But I feel like there is a sense of growth and there is a strength of coming into being by just knowing who I am and what God has called me to do. And I only learned through this, through people like my grandmother. They've taught me what it is to be part of a change, to be part of something that God wants it to be bigger than you, especially when you're not seeking and looking and running after it. So that is where I learned that dignity matters, even in poverty, because we lived in a village. So I don't know. I don't know how you view village. I've been in, that's a topic for another day. Anyway, and I learned that that dignity matters even when you are living in poverty, because I feel like I've communicated with people who feel like, oh, because I'm poor I cannot do this. And I feel very sad, especially having to be in Africa. I've spoken to a lot of young and old, and we always end up in the conversation of, oh, but you are fortunate because you're in the UK, so you can do. No, honey, faith, it can be used in any place, especially in the least of those places where you think, okay, I have nothing to offer. Offer love. Can you be that one person that someone in your community can come with their problems to you and just, share their issues with you? Can you be that one person who shows up in the church and lift the whole congregation in faith? It doesn't matter how you do it, through music, through just your availability. People underestimate a person who's just available all the time. And that is what God wants us to do. And I tend to find that I feel like the way people have the faith in Africa, the way people love God. And then when you hear such things like, I'm too poor to do this, I'm too that to, it hurts me personally, because I feel like I grew up as a person in Africa. I became even stronger in my faith in Africa. You have so much to offer. You just have to look deep down you and ask God, what is it that I have to offer with my nothingness? Remember, you can offer with nothing, just a coin. That is enough. You don't have to be the one who brings everything. You don't have to be the one who have to make massive impact. I've heard people when I was in Rwanda, like, oh, we're nothing like those people who come and bring money. They do this, they do that. But you are available. You are in that place. You are sitting down for intercession. You're praying for people. You're helping people. There is an elderly person in your community. You go and carry water for them. You go and give them something. You go and sweep for them. You go and encourage a child to make sure you saw a child in your community. They are late to school. You encourage them to go to school on time. These things are the things that God is asking us to do. Not because you're thinking, okay, I cannot be. God is the one who reward, and the heavenly reward is bigger than and way greater than the reward that the world see what you're doing. So whatever God has called you to do, that is more than enough. Do not look into the state of your life where I am. I'm in poverty, and you know And another thing that my grandmother told me is that, or my grandparents, it wasn't a choice in my family anyway. Education is sacred in my family. Like, education is that important, and that faith without action is empty. We actually used to sing songs like that. Uh, there's a song in my language about friendship, how friendship, a good friendship builds one another. And there are some friends, I think it's actually a Bible verse from the book of Proverbs. There are some friends who are just there for a season. There are some friends who comes and goes, some stay longer. But when you find that one true friend, make sure you hold on to them. And that's one of the things that I've learned, that you build those friendships around you. You make sure you are surrounded by the people who encourage you to be the best version of yourself. And I personally find this through my cousins. I think my cousins, my sisters are like my best friends, because we encourage each other. We want what's best for each other. We root for each other, and we celebrate each other. And there's nothing more important in your lowest to have people celebrating you, championing for you, cheerleading for you to go on. And this lesson sort of became like the foundation of my work, of my advocacy work, my diplomacy work, and my calling, my spiritual calling. It's all rooted in all of this. And my grandmother was a woman of prayer through and through, through and through. And she was not loud. My grandfather was the loudest. So she didn't have a chance to have a loud voice. She was not performative, but she was consistent. That's one beautiful thing about my grandmother. You know, she prayed in the morning. She and my grandfather will pray first thing before they leave their bed. They'll pray. And she prayed while working. She had a little tree. I don't know if it's still there. She had a little tree where she sits when she's doing her work when it's hot. She's praying, she's singing. She prayed while we walk when we go to our field or we go to our dam where we get water and wash clothes. When we're going there, she's praying. When she's going to church, she's praying. And she prayed when things were uncertain as well. And there were many uncertain days because obviously you don't build a strong foundation for your family, that you don't build such a legacy without having uncertain days. So one of the things that we all hated the most. I remember whenever there's something that the family needs to pray for, an uncle called and say they're doing this, they've got a job interview, they need prayers, or someone else called, or there is a sick person in our community who need prayers, or I don't know, any big event happening around us. Our grandparents used to have a tendency of having 3 a.m. novena. This is, I'm not gonna lie, since my grandmother and my grandfather died, I have not done a novena to St. Martin de Porres. But let me tell you, actually, now to think of it, I'm gonna go back to that. There is personally in my life, this is personally in my life, and I'm sure to everyone else in my family who would testify the same. There is no novena that is personally for me that is stronger more than the novena of Saint Martin de Porres, because I prayed that as my entire childhood, at 3 a.m. and nothing we asked of has never failed. That's how strong the novena of St. Martin de Porres is. Actually, now to think of it, it really, really one of the strongest prayers that I've ever done. Well, maybe we were also doing it at 3 a.m., but we've done a lot of those prayers. And these people, they've shown us how to stand for prayers, how to be strong in our prayer life, and how to journey with Jesus, how to journey in our faith. And as just a member of the community, that is one of the most important thing that I've learned from them. Just pray for everything. Pray when you're not sure, pray when you're sure, pray when you're not happy, pray when you're in sorrows. And she just showed me that faith is not an absence of struggle, because boy, did we struggle. And I feel like even when I struggle in my life too, I still see faith showing up. But it's just that it shows that there is a presence of trust in that. And through her, I also learned to be this, to you know I learned that you can be strong and gentle at the same time. My grandmother was such a strong human being, and I just loved her so much. And that a woman of faith does not shrink, she anchors herself. She does not shrink to the moment, she anchors herself. And that's something that I feel like it's something that I hope that I did embrace all of it. Like, like when Elijah asked Elisha when he was going and he asked, can I have double portion of your spirit? I feel like that is something that I want from my grandmother. I want double portion of her faith. I just want more of that. I need that because I just love how she was so, how she was anchored, and she never shrink to the moment, good or bad, whatever it is. My grandmother never succumbed to anything. And when life tested us, and she never asked, why me or anything. She's never one to complain. She's always, even when things happen, even my grandfather, the way my grandfather was such a strong human being, he will go to her and say, Mama, Sakatodi, Sagabatosita say, and most of the time, probably it's our grandfather will put us in that situation. Or me and my grandfather, I feel like we're the headache to my grandmother. But we'll go to her and we'll ask her, what do we do now? She never heard it, not even one day, not even when she lost her children before her, like when my father died, and many other family members died, and when she lost her siblings to cancer, when her husband died from cancer, or when she was going through her own cancer. She never asked, why me? But I saw the most happiest woman just in her last year, being such a strong person she is. But what she asked was, what God is teaching us here. This is why I feel like I said in the beginning, my grandmother's death, I always thought it was a moment that was going to break me. And my family was so scared for me. They didn't know what to do with me. I think even my grandmother didn't know what to do with me, because when she was sick towards the end days, she told me, "You're the only person I don't want to be present when I go, because I feel like you're going to distract me and I don't want that nonsense." And I was like, oh, but when the moment came, I embraced it. I was shocked. Everyone was shocked. And I'm sure she also was shocked. Yeah. And these things, when when she look at the positive things, like what God is teaching us in these struggles, what God is teaching us in this moment, that is the question that is still guiding me today. And growing up, there's this song she used to sing to us as children. It's a song in our language. It's Psalm 23 in my language, but because today it's my grandma's day, I'm probably gonna sing it for you in Shona a cappella. I won't sing the whole song because it's so long and I'll probably become emotional, so I don't want to do that. But it goes like this. Mambo ndiye muvudzi wangu, hapana chandingashayiwa. Mambo ndiye muvudzi wangu, ndiye muvudzi, ndiye muvudzi wangu, hapana chandingashayiwa. Like I said, the song is Sound 20. Oh yeah, I don't want to be emotional, but like I was saying, this is like literally my childhood song. That was not the intention. God, oh no, no, no. Okay, so this is Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, there is nothing I want. There is nothing I want. And this is a song she always used to sing this for us. When we leave the house, when we visit her, when we have a visitor, when we go to school, every day, every day, every day, she taught us that you cannot leave the house without the protection. You have to claim it that the Lord is my shepherd. Somehow, maybe that's why she named my dad Shepherd, because my dad's first name is Shepherd. Yeah, so it, it, Ayo. I had a long day at work today, and I've been trying. I've been so distracted to even, focus and think of my grandmother today, because we had so much work at work. But, and I had no intention of crying too. I'm not crying because, oh, I miss or anything. I believe that my grandmother used her time on this earth. She did what she was called to do, and she wastes no minute of it. And I feel like I also have to do the same, because when my grandmother died, I've never seen someone so prepared for their own death. Like, she planned everything. when she wants to be buried, what time, how things should work. She was like, I know I'm gonna die, and then this happened, and then that happened. I want people out of my house by out of my house by Saturday because everyone needs to go to church on Sunday. And it happened the way she planned it. Like, I want such faith where I can have control or opinions on of how I want things to go in life. And this is why I learned to lean on God so much like she did. Because she knows that she's got her strength, it comes from Him. And she knew what was the assignment on earth. And this song, it really means a lot to me because she sang it when we were afraid. She sang it when she saw struggles around the community. She sang it to all of her children as a way of giving us strength, their children and grandchildren and grandchildren. She sang this as a way of giving us a strength. And she sang it when the future felt uncertain. And that song sort of wrapped our childhood like a blanket. And I'm not only speaking for me, I'm just speaking on behalf of everybody who's been around my grandmother. And that's what we feel. And even now, when life feels so loud, and that song sort of quiets my spirit. It's sort of is just there lingering in my spirit. It's something that I do every day before I leave my house. It's something that I say every first thing when I wake up. Psalm 23. I live through that. And it's the song of my heart. It's what calms my heart. It's what gives me peace. And it's what gives me my being. It gives me a purpose. And it also reminds me that I'm guided, that I'm not abandoned, I'm not alone. I don't know. I'm an orphan. Sometimes I feel like, especially losing my grandmother, I lost my best friend because that was the only person I could be myself. I felt like I could cry. I could share my worries. I could share my frustration. She was always available for me. And I felt like I never felt abandoned because I feel like I have something that really guides me. And that provision does not always look like a abundance, I guess. Sometimes it just look like peace. And I have that peace, and I feel like I live in that stillness of what it brings. And today I just don't want to mourn it. That's why I'm so disappointed I cry, because it is the tears of joy anyway. So I'm not disappointed. It's the tears of joy, and it's the memories of my best friend. My grandmother was my best friend. So today I'm not mourning her, but I carry her. I carry her in every child that I support, every child that I support through Lifted and through education. Why? Because my grandmother, my grandparents taught all of us, like everyone in my family. I'm not boasting, but we are very well educated family. And we are when I say big, we're a giant family. And it's because we had a rule of thumb in our family where education should be your first husband. Education should be the first thing you have in your life before you go anywhere. Because they'll say education is the husband that will never leave you, will never ever leave you no matter what. So it's something that I carry in every child that I help, in every child that I support through education, in every community project that I do, in every act of quiet service that I do. This is why Lift Ed exists. It exists because of a woman like her, because this is a woman you know, whose name may never appear in the history books, but whose impact shaped generations. And she taught me that legacy is not what you leave behind, it is what you plant while you're here. And today I'm here, and today I just stand because she stood first. I believe I am rooted in Christ. I believe that I'm a strong woman because of she stood first. She showed me how it's done, how to live in that way. And so, if you're listening today and remembering someone who raised you, or remembering any memories of your childhood, or any ways of life, how life shaped you, honor those people, honor them by how you live. If you're taught faith, live it through action. And if you're taught generosity, practice it even when it costs you. If you were taught resilient, please just pass it on. Don't hold things to yourself. Pass it on, share it. And if you feel lost today, just remember Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. There's nothing that I want. You don't need anything but Him. You're still being guided and you're still being held. So, to my grandmother, I just want to say thank you for the woman who you were and what you've taught me, for raising me, for offering me to God, for teaching me how to give back, and for showing me ah, what a strong woman of faith looks like. That is so important to me. And I made this episode specifically for my grandmother. So, everybody, thank you for listening to Lifted Voices Fifi. Until next time, stay grounded, stay faithful, and keep lifting others as you rise. Thank you and have a good night.